Oh, so the gym's closed and that means you can't work out? Do you even water change, bruh? What's going on, fish nerds? Today we're going to take a look at the 75-gallon Malawi tank, and this episode is brought to you by our awesome friends and channel sponsors, flipaquatics.com. Things are pretty crazy right now. Your local fish store may be closed. A lot of places around the country, that's kind of the case. A lot of places around the world, that's the case right now with all the craziness that's going on, all the shutdowns and everything. But if you've really got a fix that you need some things for your aquarium, flipaquatics.com is your #1 source for freshwater aquarium shrimp. And they also have nano fish, they have aquarium plants, they have fish food, shrimp food, sponge filters, the whole 9 yards. So go give our sponsors, flipaquatics.com, a look, see if they've got what you need. And let's get into talking about these guys. This is my wife's 75-gallon Peacock and Hap tank. And you can see everybody in here seems to be getting along really well. I haven't fed these guys yet today, but everybody's doing good, getting along. And you'll remember, if you saw the video where we showed these guys last, this Borleyi here, I had talked about that I might need to take him out of the tank because at the time he was kind of chasing people a lot, acting a little bit crazy, a little bit over aggressive. And the Sunshine Peacock here, the little young male, was hidden down behind the sponge filters back there and wouldn't come out. Man, I need to scrape some algae. But he was hidden down there, and the Red Flush Peacock was hanging out back there in that corner as well. So they were staying hidden, and this guy was acting a little bit nuts. So I was like, man, I'm gonna have to pull this guy out, put him in timeout for a little while, let them establish their own hierarchy, and then reintroduce him. So I did that. I pulled the Borleyi out. I put him in a 40-gallon alone by himself. And the Giselle here ended up kind of taking over as the boss of the tank. And I left them separated for about 2 months. This guy was out of the tank. But about 1 month in, all of a sudden people started getting aggressive again. And that even includes this little Sunshine Peacock, which he's not really even colored up much. He's not a dominant male in the tank by any means, but all of a sudden he got really aggressive, and the Lemon Jake was hiding up in the corner all the time. The Electric Blue Hap, he was hiding up, like staying vertical back here all the time. I'm like, what is going on? And then I noticed about a few days after I noticed this, everybody kind of went back to normal, except for the Red Flush Peacock, which you do not see in this tank, and I'll explain that here. The Red Flush Peacock was kind of staying back here most of the time, but would come out when I fed. When I fed the tank, the Red Flush would come out and would go near the food, but wouldn't eat any food. I'm like, what's going on with this? And as I'm watching, I realize that Red Flush Peacock male was not a male at all, and the reason he wasn't eating is because she was a mother with a mouthful of babies. So not having an extra tank to pull her out and put her in, I kind of left things alone, especially since the aggression had died down. And she released that mouthful of fry. They got eaten. I wasn't too worried about it. I mean, they'd be hybrid fry that I wasn't really in a position to grow out anyway. But then after a while, I realized, that was probably the source of the aggression in the first place. It probably wasn't necessarily just this Borleyi being a jerk. There was a female in an all-male Peacock Hap tank. So that's kind of a recipe for disaster. So after he had been in quarantine or timeout by himself for a good while, I decided to put him back in and pull the female out, let them trade places. So I pulled her out, and what I did not realize is that she had a mouthful of babies. So let's go over to that 40 gallon where she's at now and let me show you what's going on there. So this is that tank, and there's our Red Flush Peacock, and I apologize, the view's not good. There's all kinds of green algae on here, and up until about 2-3 days ago there was a wall of brown algae on this tank. You couldn't really even see in except for from above, which I wasn't worried about. It's not really a viewing tank, it's just a tank that's been sitting empty for a good while. And so I threw her in here, took the Borleyi out of here, and you can see why we got confused. Well, you can't see because you can't really see anything, but if I can get her to come back over here, there you can kind of see a little better. I mean, she's got some good color. You can see why we had her mistaken for a male. That is a really pretty female peacock right there. But when I put her in this tank, I wasn't sure if she had a mouthful of fry or not, and with all the algae in here, I couldn't see or anything. I was just throwing food in here for her every day, but she's been doing good. But then a few days ago, I put a super red bristlenose in this tank, and he ate up all the brown algae, and now I can see that with all the mulm and algae that was down here on the bottom of the tank, we've had fry growing out in this tank, and I wasn't even feeding the fry. I would throw, you know, pellets in here for the mom, but just from, I guess, the mulm and the algae and leftover food that she didn't eat, we've had all these fry growing out in this tank. And it's, I apologize, it's hard to see with all this algae on the glass. It makes it really tough for the camera to focus. See if you can kind of get a better look there. And I mean, she hasn't bothered any of them. They've just been growing up in here. She doesn't pay any attention to them. But I am gonna have to pull her out of here eventually, I'm sure, because I kind of want to grow these guys out. And I'm not entirely sure who the daddy is. I think it may have been that Sunshine Peacock, since they were both hiding back by the sponge filters together for a while. But I'm not sure how these guys are going to turn out, what they're going to look like. But I kind of want to grow them out just so I can see what they look like. And obviously I wouldn't be selling these as Red Flush babies, but I mean, she would make an excellent breeder. If somebody had a Red Flush male and wanted to do some breeding, that would produce some good looking fish. I mean, because that doesn't look like a female to me. That looks like a male. But clearly, by all the babies in this tank, she is indeed a female. So my plan is to get her moved out of here soon, and I'll probably rehome her, just because I don't intend to do breeding long term with her. But again, I mean, if I had a Red Flush male, I mean, they put out some good offspring. But I do want to grow these guys out and see if there's any that grow up looking cool enough and get maybe one or two really nice looking males out of the group to add to the Peacock and Hap tank, and we'll just see what happens with that. Obviously I would never breed any of these fry once they grow out, being hybrids, but I think it'll be cool to grow some cichlids. I've kind of gotten tired of, you know, the breeding guppies and stuff like that, but there's something about having all these little cichlid babies that is just really exciting for me right now, and I'm really stoked to see these guys grow up and turn into some really pretty looking fish. So we'll see how they turn out. And so coming back to these guys, I do intend to get a few more fish and add to this tank soon. Obviously 6 isn't an ideal number for a 75-gallon tank, but honestly, I mean, everybody is kind of getting along, but I would like to get a lot more fish in here. This 75, especially with the auto water changes, will accommodate a lot more peacocks and a few haps than what we've got in here so far. Man, this Borleyi is starting to look good. He didn't have near that much red on him when we got him. So he's looking really good. The Giselle's looking really good. The camera washes him out a lot, but Midnight Peacock looking good. But I would like to get at least double the amount of fish in here. Probably buy 3 or 4 more here sometime soon once everything starts to open back up, and get some more stocking in here. We do have another Hap and another Peacock that are too small to go in this tank that are growing out separately elsewhere. So we'll work on that as well. But for now, that is the update that we have on this 75-gallon Malawi tank, and our little aggression issue has been resolved, and we've got some babies that came out of that. So that's actually kind of a neat little bonus. I'm surprised at how excited I am about those babies. I mean, I wasn't expecting, planning, or even wanting to breed these fish, but now that they have bred, I'm actually really excited to grow those babies out. And I know I've said that a couple of times, but oh well. Alright guys, and with all that said, I do want to say thank you guys very much for watching. I hope everybody's staying safe, staying healthy, and taking care of yourselves. And you guys are awesome. God bless you, fish nerds. I'll see you next time.